Hey guys, it's Kusi. Welcome back to the already 5th episode of pressing Obliterate like a madman, no matter what, in this 0 to Hero Snowman Death Knight edition. In the last episode, we finally stacked up our vault to a satisfying degree with 2 myth track items to choose from, in which we eventually got a big, veiny, some would say throbbing 46 item level upgrade.
Oh my god, I love it! I f***ing love it!
We also learned that pre-mates cannot be trusted, as we leaped into, well, death. In this episode, we try to stay alive for once. No, really, I mean it, as this episode is all about farming gear. We need aspects to upgrade our stuff and to potentially get another crafted item soon, since I'm in desperate need of a new ring. And of course, we need to prep the next vault already with as many +8s as we can do. Also, we will attempt our first +10 key today, in which we will find out that doing those keys is not always like it's cracked up to be. So if that sounds like an episode you want to pay 40 extra bucks for the epic edition of the War Within, just to log onto the beta server and just get kicked every 30 seconds, boy, it was so worth buying the damn beta pass.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal!
Then make sure to leave a like, and if you're new here, consider subscribing, since it's for free and you will never miss another upload again. But as always, make sure to grab a drink, get comfy, and enjoy the 5th episode of Obliterate to Hero. At the end of the last episode, we almost upgraded our Ashkendo to the max item level, and we birthed one of the most beautiful babies in the world, a 46 item level upgrade on our hand slot. Now let me be honest with you here. Usually I willingly avoid watching guides for specs, as I really enjoy figuring things out by myself. But I gave in. It felt like I'm in desperate need of some extra input, as I wanted to make some progress. So that's what I did. Courtesy of Zuko, one that does regular guides of specs for a lot of occasions, so you really should check him out. I'll link his YouTube channel down below.
That's what I'm talking about!
2 major things I learned are that I need to play around Everfrost a lot more mindful. From the tooltip, I actually thought that it's a dynamic damage scaling of the ability depending on how many targets are getting hit.
No.
Pretty much just doing more damage with more targets.
No.
Turns out, it's not. It's a stacking debuff on the enemy that refreshes with every tick, and if you get enough globals into your Remorseless Winter window, you can prolong the effect on the enemies until Remorseless Winter is up again. If you manage to do that, your second cast will instantly benefit from those 10 stacks and do 60% more damage. The second thing I learned is how to use my cooldowns. On pull, you pretty much use a Bomb Limb, Summon Ghoul, Rune Weapon and Trinket, and then proceed to use Remorseless Winter into Pillar of Frost to instantly trigger Killing Machine with either Howling Blast or Glacial Advance. Also, apparently you want to use your Frostworm's Fury at the very last second of your Pillar window to benefit from the extra strength you get from using runes. That way, that sucker can hit pretty hard. Now then, after my newly received knowledge, I thought I'd go into some lower keys and get used to those new mechanics in an attempt to be more mindful about them. Unfortunately, due to it being tyrannical, everything is quite messed up on lower keys. Trash just dies way too quick. I also didn't record those keys because, yeah, well, they were quite boring. And so we start up our very first key in this episode with a Neltorus 8. Yeah, you heard me. One of those dungeons where boss fights are a real issue on tyrannical. Oh, and while we're on the topic of affixes, let me introduce you to the affix where DKs are just as useless as rogues or warriors. Afflicted.
Oh, hell no, man.
This annoying mechanic will spawn up to 2 needy bitch-ass ghosts that need to be either dispelled or healed to full in order to not put an old lady curse on you. And to all my warlock mains out there, rip son, since apparently those ghosts are considered everything but magic, so your whiny little imp dispel won't even work on them. Thanks, Ian. Oh yeah, and because we have to deal with the second affix for the first time in the series, we got bolstering as well. This one buffs the damage done of every trash mob by 20% whenever one of them dies, so occasional one-shots inbound if you're doing Brackenhide for example. Now we know what to expect, let's dive right in. Neltorus 8, and just as every other time I get in here, the second boss worries me. But first we need to go for the ugly horse hippo giraffe, Magma Tusk. For my party setup, we also need to look out for multiple dispels besides the usual Bloodlust and Combat Rest, so we make it easier for the healer this week. Magma Tusk itself, besides having a fat ass HP bar, is not a big issue for us to deal with. I just make sure to rotate my cooldowns for a volatile mutation, as that's easily the biggest incoming damage for us. Well, unless you don't dodge those waves after every charge. On our way to Chargath, the Bane of Bondage, I was very hopeful as we used a fair amount of chain wrecks to our advantage. And on boss, I personally thought to wait out my chains again, in order to simply not overstack. What also really helped me to stay cool here is to use Death's Advance and AMS once the spear impact hits. With AMS, you simply negate the entire incoming damage, while Death's Advance immunes you from the knockback. Also, I feel like letting their ranged DPS do their chains first really makes things so much easier for them too, as they can just continue to do their pew pew and aren't stuck with long periods of movement. And so we easily dispatched of arguably the most annoying boss, which led to our tank to do some funky business, as he also assumed that this party is a lot better than it seemed. Nasty pulls every now and then, I bet the healer did enjoy those. Yet our first proper struggle we had on the third boss. Just so much constant damage incoming, paired with a nasty dot after every blazing Aegis. I just used everything I had on cooldown in order to survive. Unlucky. But we also learned something here. If you drop that and you get a CR, don't just accept it. Watch where you will be respawned, as it may be important. The remaining party did manage to finish the boss though, and so we moved to the final one with way too much trash in our hand. See, I thought we are going to skip the final pack, as we were full percentage before that, but I guess we wanted another big pull? Anyways, we did end up timing it, being it only by +1, and received another key that will be awesome for my overall score, as I only did it on Fortified and we didn't even time it. Yet before that, there's something you need to know. Hoi! Let me quickly remind you that we are on the road to 10k subscribers on the YouTube, and if we manage to achieve that goal, we will have a 24-hour stream of Torment with a face cam and a potential Pink Panther onesie.
Oh my god, I love it. I love it!
You heard me. So if you watched this so far without subscribing, I mean, come on, do the magic, make it happen. Also join the Discord for future stuff in the War Within. Now back to the video. Halls of Infusion on 8. I really need this timed. However, I did a big mistake. An oopsie if you will. My party setup. See, I got blinded by this tank and the double Warlock comp, as two of them were kinda geared and I assumed that would help us a lot more. But now we have no single dispel for the Affix. And then I also added another mistake, or at least in my personal opinion, I got a Disc Priest. Disc Priests are awesome and they are in a very decent spot right now. However, I was worried about the third boss, as from my own personal experience of playing Mistweaver in Season 2, that boss is a pain for you when you have to deal damage as your healing source. But like I said, the main issue was not having an external dispel, so I told him we believe. Wish I would believe in me some more, as our only death so far was me absolutely standing still on Spark Volley. I know it says the ability name on the screen, but my head thought it's a static search. So much for not dying this episode. Towards the big frog, our tank decided at some point that he's bored and did something that's rather questionable. You see, there's this one annoying pack in here that has 3 shock troopers mobs in them, which all need to be interrupted, and he just speeded into those, even though we were still clearing the current pack. Needless to say, he perished. And even though I whipped out my CR in an instant, sadly you don't spawn with any runic power, so he died again. On the frog itself, we encountered yet another issue. Me. As I yet again flopped over cause I didn't see one of the swirlies from his croak ability, cause his fat ass was just in the way, and then we also failed to soak Dimension Gulp, so the boss just went to town on us in Angie mode. This ultimately led to a wipe, and even though our healer was not happy with him having to deal with all the dispels, I was certain this wipe was mainly because I was dead to help control those frogs. So we went again. Easy. But... yeah, so that's that. I'ma blame myself for that one, no question asked. I picked a bad comp and I played horribly.
Yes.
So that leads to us having a +7 halls instead, and this time I didn't mess around. 4 dispels, multiple CRs and a lust. Big.
Huge.
Very big in fact. No problems in fact, besides me getting hit by the ability that I was not standing in.
Bruh.
As you can tell by my reaction. And releasing here was a crucial mistake, as it cost us the potential 3 chests. I kinda thought I respawned at the end of the bridge. Turns out, no sir, but 2 chests regardless, so here we go. Got a hero headpiece for my struggle, Keystone Master and the +9 Azure Vault. Man, I'm getting Azure Vault so many times, I don't even know how half the other dungeons look like anymore.
Oh, boo-hoo!
So you know the drill. Got 3 dispels, a Bloodlust, a CR, and a Demon Hunter tank, of course, 3 chests.
Damn.
And now, it was time for some upgrades. First, we unlocked the full potential of our weapon, while shortly after ensuring a decent upgrade when it comes to some of our tier sets. I used 2 charges to simply enhance my legs and my headpiece, and then I spent the reward for KSM on a new hero chest, as mine was still LFR gear level. So we stacked up to 508, and we might need that for the future keys, as now we will attempt our first +10 key. We're going back to school, baby.
Okay, let's go.
Algata Academy is the key I've gotten, so I lowered it to 10 and made sure I got a party that could, well, teach me some. We once again got triple dispels and bloodlust. Only thing that worried me was my crusty ass being the only combo dress, so no goofing. For this one I also got myself a weak aura for tracking your Pillar of Frost duration and the global spent in it, so I know when to press Frostworm's Fury, and I'd say it helps. And apparently our strat for this dungeon was no patrols. I enjoyed this pathing of this dungeon though, as we all agreed on using Lust when fighting Veximus and Bird Boy. So we cleared towards Vex first while avoiding patrols, and even though we had Lust, I was quite happy with the outcome of my damage here, considering I didn't have cooldowns up at the start and it's legit a single target fight. But now we have to spend 7 minutes of trash killing as we await the return of Bloodlust. So that's what we did, while again, avoiding patrols. Here, because of this new cool weak aura, I managed to perfectly time my Frostworm's Fury into a solid 1.4 mil damage. Yet after getting rid of the Tower Guardian, we still had time. So we took care of the tree's trash first. Well, not only did I feel completely shafted during this fight, as I couldn't really pump, it's also the first time in this dungeon where I felt that bolstering is a thing. As soon as I realized it, I went to target the bugs, as they randomly one-shot people if they get too buffed up. And then we had the bird to deal with, while the tank described this plan for us like he's talking to a moron. Does he watch my series by chance? Anyways, this puller got every cooldown up, so I only had 2 things in mind. Use AMS for every screech I can, and pump, ending the boss on a whooping 242k DPS, which was below the others. Yet this didn't make me hesitant to chopping down the big wood, but I was unable to properly do damage due to my cooldowns not lining up with all of these happening spawns. To be fair, I was mostly trying to tunnel down into the boss regardless, as I knew the small ones would die quickly.
Psych!
Big breath baby, we back in this. On the way towards the final boss, Useless Drusa, our tank got a bit frisky, as he just simply did 2 decent pulls after each other. Thank the Lord for Death Grip, am I right? And because we don't really need to talk about the final boss in here, we just now timed our first plus 10 key, arguably the easiest one for the season. Also another 54 score, and I managed to snipe the puzzle box. Not sure if it's good, but can't hurt to have it for now. So far so good. We upgraded a lot of gear, did a solid amount of dungeons for the vault, and finished our first plus 10. But that isn't all. We have one more dungeon to go for, a more difficult one. Ruby Life Pulse plus 10. And here I applied all the good things I learned this episode. Again, multiple dispels, Bloodlust, double CR, and the Vengeance. I am so ready for this.
Okay.
My biggest fear were the second and third boss, as one mistake by any party member had enough juice to wipe the entire party. But first things first, everybody got annoyed that the tank didn't pull proper right away, but I understood why. Bolstering. I call it smart. I'd say this goes quite well.